Hi friends, today's video is going to be all about the Good and the Beautiful's Reading Booster program. It is part of their language arts course, but it is also a separate program that you can just use to improve your child's reading. So I'm going to go through all of the components from the booster cards to the booster books, as well as some things that correlate with the program itself. So I'm going to give you all the details and also how we actually use the program itself. So let's get started. Okay, so before we get too far into the video, I do just want to mention real quick, anything that I mention, how we're doing this, the way that we do it, the amount of times that we do this program, may not be how you want to do it, and that's totally okay. I'm not saying that the way that we do this program is the only way to do it, but I like to share how we're doing things so that maybe it helps someone else. It makes you think of something else. It resonates with you in some way. And maybe it also says, wow, I really don't want to do it that way. So that is the only reason I make videos like this, is to just share how we're doing things, and maybe it helps you and maybe it doesn't. The other thing that I want to say is that my first grader, Mr. 7, my oldest, he has done Booster A when we did kindergarten. He finished it up early. We did start Booster B while he was still in kindergarten. We finished it up this year while he was in first grade, and we have already started Booster C while we are still finishing up the Level 1 Language Arts course. We are not going to finish Booster C this year. We will finish that next year when he's in second grade, so we have not used this all the way through, but the fact that we haven't finished it doesn't really change anything that I'm going to say about this. I feel like I know enough to be able to speak to the program as a whole. So I just wanted to be totally honest that we have not technically finished Booster C. So let's first talk about the components of the booster program, the Reading Booster program from the Good and the Beautiful. It comes with the cards and the books for each level, level A, B, and C. It changes a little bit with Booster C, and these go with the language arts courses. Level K, your kindergartner, level 1, your first grader, and level 2 for your second grader. Now, the whole point of this program is to be able to let your kids excel at their pace in reading. Now, there is a little, it says it at the front of every single card set, all about the Reading Booster cards, okay? I'm just gonna, you can read this for yourself, but basically it says, children can learn to read faster than they are able to learn the other principles in the course. It is to the child's advantage to excel quickly in reading by using the booster cards and to continue toward reading mastery by using the language arts courses. So it's allowing your child to quickly learn the phonics courses, or slowly, however that works, but at their pace so that they can begin to read and not be held back by all the extra things that they learn in language arts, grammar, spelling, writing, all that stuff. So this allows them to read at their own pace and to be able to start reading quicker. So the components right here, the cards and the books, are all part of the free download that you can get for the language arts courses from the Good and the Beautiful. This is part of the level K download, the level 1 download, and the level 2 language arts download. And they're in the folder, and you can print them out yourself. Now, I didn't do that, even though I love a good PDF download and I love printing our things. Since these things are not consumable, meaning they don't get written in. Now, before I say that and someone comes at me in the comments, yes, you do write very minimally in the cards. And I will tell you how I will use these cards with my future kids, because a few of the pages have been written in. Don't panic. Okay, but yes, these are not consumable, so I just went ahead and bought them. They have held up very well. Like I said, we've already completed A and B with my oldest, so everything's held up really great. The reviews, there's 5 reviews in each card set, and it looks like this. 6 cards that they review, and then a maze. So all I'm going to do with my younger kids as they come through the program as well is just print these out. Like I said, they're part of the free PDF download. And I'll just print out the 5 reviews for each card set, and they can have them for themselves. As well as, yes, the stickers have been used with my oldest. But again, I can buy new stickers and just use it that way with my younger kids. we're going to go ahead and start by looking through the cards in the book so you can see how they are set up. I am going to start a little bit through. I'm not going to start right at the beginning, and I'm not going to show you every page, just telling you that right now. You can go ahead and scroll through the PDF yourself, but I am going to walk you through kind of how they're set up, and they're all set up basically the same. So you have a word list. Whatever's being taught is always at the top. Couple word lists. There's usually 2 or 3, and then what we call the triangle pages, which is basically you're completing a sentence, and it's reviewing whatever was previously taught in the last couple of pages. And then you'll have another couple of word pages, and then here's another triangle page, and it even tells you what you are reviewing. So sight words right here, and word families group 1. It says right at the top what you are practicing. And anything is also fair game that was previously learned as well. Here's the next one, word families group 2, and then we're at a review. And then here's group 3, and then here's the triangle pages. So we didn't get a triangle page for this one, but it is here, so you're gonna be reviewing that here. Another word list. Another word list. Here's your triangle page. And then your review. And the review is always, you know, covering what was in between the 2 reviews. And the cards you're going to review are only the word list pages. So they don't make you go back and reread these sentences. It's just the word list pages. And then you'll do your maze. Now, as you probably noticed, at the very bottom of the majority of the triangle pages, it says, have the child read the Reading Booster book, and then it'll say the number and what it's called. That is referring to these books right here. See, it says it here too, number 11, number 12 right here. So that is referring to these books. So they are all numbered. And on the back, it is telling you exactly what is being taught, and it goes with the card. So it's going to go in order. So let's go ahead and skip ahead to what we're kind of looking at here. Okay. So I said here that it says, so this is the one that goes with this. And you are learning, or you're reading, I should say, a story that has a lot of these words in it. And again, it goes with the card. So there's that one. And here's what the inside looks like. Okay, so there's that one. Again, I'm not going to show you all the books, but just so you get an idea for what they do look like. So again, here's where the next Reading Booster book comes in. Here's the card. And it tells you exactly what is being taught in that book. And here's what the inside looks like. And we'll do one more just for funsies. So here's number 12. Again, we're matching right here. And this is what the inside of this one looks like. And just for fun, here's what the last book looks like. And let me show you just the difference between number 1 and number 20, because there's 20 books. So it's very simple at the beginning, and it will grow with your child basically as they learn. And here's what the last one looks like, number 20. While we are on the topic of the books, let me just take a second to also mention the nature readers, because this goes right with these. There's one for each level. Here's the second and the third one, but since we're in Booster A, this is the one that goes with it. They also just released the poetry reader. It's also orange for the first one, and it does say underneath that they will be releasing the other levels. It doesn't say when, but it says soon or something like that, or future release. So the poetry reader that was just released follows the same concept as this nature reader. And how the nature reader works is exactly like the cards, CVC words. And it is the same thing that you will learn right here. So book 1 will go with book 1, that concept. All right, let me skip ahead a little bit. Let's go ahead and skip to the ones we were doing. Here's 10. And these are very short stories, only a couple pages long, but it also helps to reinforce what was previously taught. So here's number 10. You are learning CK and ALL words, and it tells you right here what you're doing. So every time you have a booster book, there is also a corresponding nature story if you choose to get this. This is not part of the program, but I do recommend it. It does help reinforce what was previously taught. You can also just use it as a reader, and just, you know, don't go ahead if you're not at the next card yet or whatever. But we usually, when it comes to the nature readers, will wait until we've done a few of the books because these are so short. I mean, so 3 pages, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, they're only 8 pages long. I think they're actually shorter, in my opinion, than these, especially when it comes to the next levels. So we will usually wait until we have like 2 or 3 of these to read, and then that will be his independent reading for the day. So here's number 11, ending consonant blends, and it says it right here. And like I said, the new poetry reader also follows the same thing. I looked at the table of contents for it on the website because I don't actually have the book, but it does follow the same exact order as the cards and these nature readers. So while we are on the topic of the Booster A books and the kindergarten level in general, let me talk about the readers that exist for the kindergartners. When I went through the Booster A cards with my oldest, only the Pet Pals was available. They have since released the Bees and Trees and the Little Go books. They're all set up exactly the same, but I love that there's more for these little readers because I had to rely heavily on these books as well as the booster cards. Like, that's really all we could read. So I love that there's more variety now for the littles. So my daughter will be able to use these next year as she will be in kindergarten. So I went ahead and took all the books out. They are set up exactly the same. There's 4 books for each box set, and they tell you exactly what you are reading, the concepts that are being taught in the stories, right on the back, and they're exactly the same. So here's a look-see inside. Okay, so you can wait until you've mastered like all of these cards, and then you could read all these purple books. And then I just mixed them up. Here we go. All right, and then here's all the yellow ones. Cover these concepts. And then the blue ones. Okay. And then book 4. And they are all the same, like I said. That is how the kindergarten leveled readers work. They go along perfectly with the booster books and the cards, and we have had great success with my oldest with using the Booster A cards and readers. Okay, so here's Booster B. It is set up exactly the same as the Booster A cards. It's just obviously teaching different concepts. So we have some word lists, your triangle page, again, reviewing what was just taught in the previous word lists. More of these, triangle page, word lists, and a review. Okay? Same thing as with Booster A. I will go ahead and show you the inside of the books as well. Okay, so again, set up exactly the same as Booster A. Here's what the inside of book 1 looks like. So you can see already we're a little more advanced than the previous level. And here's the last book. Again, more words on the page now. And it works up to this, of course. So that's a little look inside Booster B. Let me also show you, because this is the level we just finished and my first grader is working through the language arts course. We are almost done with it. Let me show you how it looks in the lesson. So the way that this works is throughout the course, you will see these target, Reading Booster card target, and it wants you to be on card 45. So that is this one, and it is the exact phonics principle that is being taught. So you want to have gotten to this point and mastered it before you do the lesson. That is how it works though. And then the next card, so let me move this. So then you have, you're not taught another phonics principle until here. Reading contractions, and then they want you to be on card 46. So that is this one right here, and it goes with it. So you have about, you know, a few lessons in between when you need to get to the next cards. So even if you are working slowly through the cards or want to master them right before the lesson, you have 3 or 4 lessons to do that. They're not back to back. The phonics principles are spread out with a whole bunch of other things that you are being taught in the language arts course. But I wanted to show you that that is how it works if you are using the courses as well. I want to mention too, same thing with this nature reader. This is the one that goes with Booster B. This one actually gives you a table of contents, and it tells you exactly what you are learning in the nature story. And again, it goes perfectly with the booster books. So after you finish book 1, you could read this one with no problem. You know, book 9 goes with this one, same thing. And here's just a little peek at the inside. So the stories are not very long, like 5, 6 or so pages. Nice and short. Okay, so Booster C does look a little bit different. It still looks very similar, but there is a little bit of a difference in the cards, and it did throw my first grader through a loop when we first did it. So again, you got a word list. This is where it's different. Instead of, now they still have them, a triangle page, but we also have, instead of some of the triangle pages, we have these poetry readings, and they work exactly the same. You are reviewing the concept that was just taught. We did have a little bit of a brain block that we had to get through because this was different than what was previously in all the other books, but we survived. We have done it, and now we know how they work. And here we also read chapter 1 of the reader, and I will show you that in a second. So again, word lists mixed in with the review on the triangle pages or a poetry reading. See, here's another poetry reading. And then you have your review. So same thing all the way through, and that is how these work. So just a little bit different with those poetry readings thrown in. Now, obviously, there's not 20 booster books like with A and B. There are 2 chapter books. And they work similarly, but they are a little different. So 10 booster cards or books, however you want to think of it. But it's by chapter and not by doing a separate book for each concept. So 10 chapters here, 10 chapters in the other one. So we read the first chapter, like I said, and the way these work, again, the concept that was taught, your child reads this part, and you read this part throughout the entire chapter. So this is in place of doing a booster book. You are reading a chapter instead, and you are reading some of it, and your child is reading some of it, and this went really well. We have a few readers like this from Usborne, or Paper Pie, whatever. Everybody calls it Usborne. Nobody says Paper Pie. But I have some readers like this where the child reads part of it and then the adult reads some of the harder words, basically. And so we are used to this sort of concept. And then here's the next phonics principle that we would be covering. And it's the same thing in this one as well. So this is how this one works as well. It's the same thing. Student reads part, the teacher reads the other part. And this is in place of having the separate stories in the booster book pack. And then again, we have the reader, the nature reader. Again, same thing as with the chapters. So you can follow right along with wherever you're at with the cards. And this is what they look like. Here's the first one. And there you go. There's the next one with the KN sounds. So I just pulled a few of my leveled readers from The Good and the Beautiful. Unlike with the level K, they don't really tell you, what's being taught, like on the back, like the little kindergartner readers did. You just kind of have to go for it. And that's totally okay. And I think it's okay to be challenged as well, even if they don't know every single word. So we're going to start, I'm just going to show you the inside so you can see how they progress. This is a level 1A. And I think, yeah, at the beginning, they always give you some challenge words that they may not have previously seen. Here's a 1B. Okay, so we're getting a few more words on the page with each kind of upgrade in the level. Some of them are chapter books. All right, and then, let's see, here's a 2A. More words on the page. And then here's some level 2Bs. And that's where you really get a lot of words on the page from what they have previously seen. But by then, they'll probably be able to read just fine. So while it looks intimidating to see how it progressed from there, your child will definitely be ready by then. So now that I have walked you through kind of how everything looks, how everything's set up, all that, let me actually tell you how we use the cards. Like I have previously said, we do not do the booster cards with every single language arts lesson. It says at the beginning of every lesson, 5 to 10 minutes of the cards, the books, or the games. I have not mentioned the games, or I have not shown you the games. It's part of the app on the iPad or your phone, or however you want to do it. And it's in the, you go to language arts, whatever level you're in, and then it'll say, so like this one's Booster B, so it's in the level 1, and then you go to Booster B games, and then it'll be listed out by cards. So it'll say card 4, and then this concept right there, and then you can click on it, and basically it's either usually one of two things where it'll say a word, and there'll be like 3 or 4 words that your child has to match what they heard. And then the other one is sometimes completing a word, like it'll be broken up and you have to put the right maybe syllable in place. And that is how the games work. They're very easy, they're very simple. Usually some sort of nature scene that they complete, or like a rocket getting ready to blast off or something like that. So that is how the games work. And I will talk about the games as well as I tell you how we have used the cards. So let's talk about how it actually works when we are going through the cards. So on day 1, first time we're seeing a card, again, may not be on the same day that we are doing a language arts lesson, but just on a day that we're doing the cards, let's just call this day 1 of seeing the card. I will read the concept, and I will say usually the word that they have written. I'll say OR says or, like in fort. And I can usually tell within 5 seconds if he has understood that or not. And he'll usually go, oh, okay, fort. And then that one's more. Corn. Born. And he'll start reading them. Sometimes he'll have to sort of sound one out, and that's okay. If he gets to one and he pauses and he doesn't start to sound it out, I will just tell him the word, okay, that's torch. And he'll repeat it, and then we move on. This is the first time through, so I don't let him struggle through it. Sometimes I'll try to have him sound it out, but again, it's the first time through. We don't want to struggle through it. Most of the time, we're to the point now at the end of first grade where like doing these cards is not a big deal. He understands what we're doing. When we were going through Booster A, we went a lot slower. We did more fun things to try to get him to understand. So when you're going through Booster A, it's a lot of blending sounds together. So when we were going through these words, you know, he had just previously like learned all the letter sounds. And so it was a lot of, okay, this says, you know, H says ha, and duh. Okay. And he would have to, we're still learning how to blend letters. So that's basically all you're doing in Booster A. I mean, yes, you've got the sight words. That's one thing, but a lot of Booster A is just blending sounds together. So one of the things that I would do is I would pull up the Letter Tiles app that the Good and Beautiful has, and it'll say level K, level 1, level 2, and then there's one on the side that says just A through Z, all the letters. And I would read a word that you would really have to blend a bunch of letters together. And I would make him spell it with the app. So I would say cut, and he would sit there and go k, and he'd know that was C, and then he'd go and then he'd write U, and then T. And we would do that. That was so incredibly helpful when learning how to blend sounds together. Now, we can't do that with every single card, and we had to phase out of that, especially in Booster A, as it became harder to do, like, yeah, with EA, how do you know that's EA and not EE? So it just became harder. I'd either have to really repeat the concept, and so we kind of phased out doing the spelling thing on the letter tiles. But that was so incredibly helpful when doing the Booster A cards. So highly recommend that you sound them out, have them say the word. You say it really slowly. You know, what's the first sound you hear? Going through it, so helpful, so incredibly helpful. We actually didn't really use the games when we were doing Booster A. I don't know why, but we didn't. We have utilized them a bunch more when doing Booster B. Not a whole lot more. We always do them on review days. So I will have him pull up the games and do, you know, these 6 before we go through a review. So that's how we've done the games. And the games are also helpful now because I am also homeschooling my daughter this year, you know. She's doing preschool, wrapping that up at this point. But that's also helpful to give him something to do while I'm working with her. So that is how we have done the games. But let's go back to what I was saying. So day 1, we read through the list. Either I help him or I don't, and I kind of gauge where he's at. Again, on day 2 or 3, when we were doing A, we would do the letter tiles thing, and we would work through the entire list. That was so helpful to do. But now we're just to the point where we just read through the words, and we just go through it once. If there's a few that he repeatedly missed, we will go back and check those, have him repeat them again, and then we're done. So I don't really know how long it takes us. I've never timed it. It always says 5 to 10 minutes, but for us, it's however long it takes us to read through this list and do this page. Now, when we were doing Booster A, we really loved to cover up each line and reveal it as we went. Now we're kind of beyond that. Sometimes we still do it, but we don't really do that anymore. We just read through them and we're done. It takes no time at all. Most of the time, my son will master the cards within 3 days of doing it. That's not 3 days in a row. It's just the third time we've gone through the cards, he will master. And I will have him master, like these two would have been mastered together. Because it was the same concept. We do them together. We don't do a card at a time. We do like a concept at a time. So these two are mastered together. Okay, so here's another one. Again, day one of reading a card. OU and OW says ow, like out or cow. And then he'd go, okay. And then he'd say out, shout, and then he'd figure it out. Sometimes he has to sound them out. Sometimes he can just look at it and go town, sound, cloud. And actually I can see an X here. So that must have been one that he missed a few times. And this one too, found. Okay, so I would just tell him the word. Day one. Don't have him struggle. Just make sure he knows what it is so that he can say it correctly. Don't want him to sound it out and say the wrong word and get that in his head. So just tell him the word and then he repeats it. If he did okay and only missed like 2 or 3, again, then we do the triangle cards. And we will read through those. Then day 2, we just repeat the same thing. If he does them all okay and doesn't miss any words, then we will go ahead and master it that day. If he still struggles on some of the words, then we're not going to master it that day. I will let him master it if he has only missed like 1 or 2, and that's only if it's always the same 1 or 2 that he is missing. And that's usually the case. Like, I don't want to keep harping on the same thing over and over again. So if we're on like day 4 of doing the cards and he keeps missing the exact same 1 or 2, then we just call it a day. We're done. He can say all the other ones. I know that he is going to learn these words eventually if it's the same 2 that he keeps missing. Let's say he keeps missing sound. It's not a big deal. He will eventually learn it just from reading the word in books. And then we'll get the stickers. Again, this would have been mastered with this card. And only after we have mastered the pages will we read the book. I do not want to have him read the book if he is struggling with the words. So we wait until we have mastered before we do the booster book. This would have been number 7, I Found a Hound. So we wait to do the books until we have mastered the cards. So here's the next set. Again, day 1, just read them through. Sometimes he tries to do it. Otherwise, I will read the words for him. He will repeat them. Again, here, same thing. And this card, we would have done all 3 of these together, actually. Because these go, this triangle page goes with both of these cards. So we would have done all 3 of these together. And usually, like I said, we're just reading through the words. I make note if he misses one repeatedly. Sometimes it's different ones. And that's really all we do. When we get to a review, we do the games. He'll review the games by himself. And then he will come back and then read for me all the cards. And then he'll do the maze. Now, I have repeatedly said that we do not do the cards on the exact same day that we do language arts. Well, how do I do them? Let me tell you. First of all, when you are starting kindergarten and you're doing Booster A, this was the case for us where we went from doing the preschool and the kindergarten prep course, and then all of a sudden we were starting kindergarten and doing language arts, math, and handwriting. So we went from doing 1 thing to 3 things. That in and of itself was a lot. And then you add in the booster cards, which is almost like its own thing a lot of the time, it feels like. So it was almost like doing 4 things. So what we did at the start of kindergarten was we alternated doing cards or a lesson. And we did that for close to a month. And like I said, same thing. I already walked through how I do the cards. So, you know, day 1, we would have done a card. Next day, we would have done a lesson. Next day, we would have gone back to the same card, done day 2, a lesson on the next day, and then maybe we were probably mastering the first couple cards by then, okay? So that is how I would do it. Now, after about a month, we were able to get into a routine, understand what we were doing, you know, and we were able to do more than just alternating at that point. So how do I decide what we are going to do? Now, if we aren't doing one of the reviews, one of the maze pages, then that is all we will do for language arts for that day, because that's kind of a lot. So that'll be all we do. We won't do a lesson on that day. So let me show you exactly how I decide if we're going to do booster cards or not. Here's one of the ones where you have to use the letter tiles. This is like doing spelling and reviewing phonics concepts from the cards. So we're not going to do more of that by doing the cards. This also would have included a book that they had to listen to. And again, that makes the lesson longer. Sometimes these are close to 10 minutes. Now, again, I guess that's really not that long, but that's also a lot of language arts, in my opinion. It already makes the lesson longer than handwriting and math combined. Let's see. This one, let's see, 4 pages long, but we probably would have been okay to at least go through once, maybe just introduce a card if we were on that. It also depends on if we are on day 1 of a card or like day 3 or 4. Are we reviewing something? Are we really close to mastering? Usually when we're on a day where I'm pretty sure we're going to master it, it doesn't take that long. It's when we're in those middle day 2 or day 3 where I know we might be struggling a little bit, that we may not want to include cards on a day where the lesson is a little bit on the longer side. Let me see here. Okay, so here's another one that's got letter tiles, so we definitely wouldn't be doing cards on this day. So again, it just sort of depends. If there's a really long, like this one, we are definitely not going to end up doing cards on this day because I can already tell that the lesson itself is longer. There's a whole thing we have to read. Now, some of you may be saying, wow, we would definitely be doing cards on that day. Then do cards on that day. But for us, like I said, language arts lessons take the longest. Math takes us less than 5 minutes. Handwriting takes us less than 5 minutes. So when language arts starts taking at least double that length, it just seems like a lot to my children. So we don't do the cards. And like I said, we've never been behind by any means. We're always way ahead and where we need to be with the cards. So let's see. I mean, that's just kind of how I do it. This one, I can already tell you, this one we wouldn't be doing a card on this day either. Having to do these sentences sometimes can take a while. Doing the flipper cards, you're reading a phonics concept already, so why do another one on this day? So that's kind of how I decide. It also will depend on if, like I said, if we are reviewing or if it's like day 1 of a card. Because the review days are the days that takes longer, maybe has a little bit more of a struggle happening on those days versus like day 1 or on the day we're going to master something. So I really hope this was helpful to you guys, making this video explaining how the cards work, how they go with the lessons, all of that. I know I can sometimes ramble and maybe not make total sense all the time. What I'm thinking in my head doesn't always translate correctly out of my mouth, but hopefully you understood what I was saying and how we do things. If I missed anything or you have any questions, please let me know down in the comments. If I feel like I need to make a follow-up video because we haven't finished the Booster C cards, I will, but I don't think I'll need to do that. I think we're going to be just fine going through this. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up if it was helpful to you, and I will see you guys all in the next video real soon. Bye.